When electronic music began to take shape at the end of the 1970s, it did not arrive as a finished genre. It emerged gradually, through small labels, independent studios, and artists experimenting with new tools outside any clear commercial framework. This video is a personal selection of 15 non-commercial tracks released between 1979 and 1982. There are far too many artists and recordings from this period to cover properly in a single video, so this should be seen as one possible path through a much wider landscape rather than a definitive overview. These tracks were not hits, and in most cases they were never intended to be. Instead, they sit beneath the more familiar story of electronic music, forming part of the foundation that later synth pop and electronic pop would build upon. The story begins in 1979 when Fad Gadget released the single Back to Nature. It captured a raw and confrontational use of synthesizers, closer to post-punk disruption than pop structure. Later in 1979, Cabaret Voltaire followed with Nag, 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 a track built around tension and repetition, using electronics to unsettle rather than entertain. By 1980, Robert Rental released Double Heart. Its restrained and isolated character reflects a strand of electronic music that existed almost entirely outside the developing mainstream.
Different cultures, take your number, give you a home.
That same year, the Silicon Teens released Music for Parties, and their version of You Really Got Me deliberately stripped away rock convention, replacing it with a detached electronic surface.
Girl, you really got me going. You got me so I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, you really got me now.
Also in 1980, The Passage released Pin Drop. The track Locust shows how electronics could be used to create atmosphere and unease without aiming for resolution.
Oh, what a century! What an age for telling tales! The best of all possible times, and the worst of all possible...
As the decade turned, 1981 brought Chris and Cozy's album, Heartbeat. The track This Is Me belongs to a period where their electronic work remained private and inward-looking, far removed from commercial expectation. During 1981, Thomas Lear released the Four Movements EP, and Tight as a Drum reflects a minimal and personal approach to electronic composition, avoiding both pop hooks and overt experimentation. That year also saw Rupert Hine release his album Immunity. On the song I Hang On to My Vertigo, electronic production is used with precision and control, without any need for chart ambition. In 1981, Landscape released From the Tea Rooms of Mars to the Hellholes of Uranus. The track European Man reflects a more rhythmic and structured use of electronics, still rooted in experimentation rather than pop convention.
Charge your time to a credit card.
That's what nice.
Spend your life on a leisure farm.
Clock DVA's album Thirst arrived in 1981, and Sensorium captures a colder and more conceptual electronic sound, focused on texture and mood rather than song form.
Down the street I can see well.
Outside the UK, 1981 also saw Deutsch-Amerikanische Freundschaft release Alles ist gut. The track Der Räuber und der Prinz represents a harder and more physical approach to electronic music that resonated well beyond Germany. The same year, Liaisons Dangereuses released their self-titled album. Los Niños del Parque became a defining example of electronic club music at a moment when the genre itself was still forming. In Japan, Logic System released Logic in 1981. The track Talk Back reflects a precise and technologically focused approach to electronic composition that travelled far beyond its place of origin. By 1982, Oppenheimer Analysis released New Mexico. On Cold War, non-commercial electronic music had developed its own vocabulary, independent of mainstream trends.
Falling into romance, coming from high minds. Look what it leads to, the race to the end.
Also in 1982, the sound released All Fall Down. Song and Dance stands as a reminder that electronic elements were being explored not only within synthpop, but also on the edges of post-punk. By the early 1980s, electronic music was beginning to move in different directions. Some artists moved towards wider recognition, while others continued to operate in more marginal and experimental spaces. These tracks belong to that second path. They were not designed to define a movement, but they helped create the conditions for one. There are many more artists and recordings from this period that could have been included, and I value suggestions for future videos that continue exploring this side of electronic music. Together, these tracks form part of the foundation beneath the more familiar story of electronic music in the years that followed.